Yes. Welcome, Hannah.
Thank you.
And today we are talking to ADUs, additional dwelling units. And Hannah has built an ADU.
Yep.
So I want to talk to you about that. And I also wanted to congratulate you on being nominated as Realtor Rookie of the Year for Whatcom County.
Thank you.
So congratulations on that.
I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, that's really cool. So let's get right into it. So you're a realtor, so you know a lot about ADUs, but you've also built one, which is the main thing that I want to talk about. But before we talk about your experience building an additional dwelling unit, let's just define ADU other than additional dwelling units for anybody watching or listening.
Yep, absolutely. So there's an ADU and then a DADU, which is attached additional dwelling unit, or a detached additional dwelling unit. Those two differ as well from an accessory dwelling on your property. So the major difference between the last one is that it has a separate kitchen and can't be rented, but an ADU is a permitted dwelling which you can rent for long term that has a kitchen and bathroom and living room and bedroom, or it can be it can have a variety of looks to it. There's no one specific design. One of the major qualifiers, though, it has to have on a single family dwelling is it has to be less than 66% of the main dwelling square footage. So it has to be smaller and a separate entrance, and it has to have a separate designated parking spot in order to be an ADU. It also has to be registered with the city, and then you have to register it every year, once a year, to say, hey, I'm still renting this. The city doesn't actually charge you for that. They just want to be aware of how many rentals are in the city.
Or if you're in the county.
Or if you're in the county. Yes. Uh-huh.
So, and we know that there's a lot of people who've always had additional dwelling units that were not necessarily permitted, where you have the basement that has the kitchen and the whole setup, and then somebody is living downstairs separately that they're renting. And we're talking about literally permitted, and it could be the basement. And that's the attached.
Yep.
It could even be just another section of the house.
Absolutely.
If it has all of those features.
Separate entrance or...
Yeah. And then in the city now, the biggest thing that's happening is a lot of these detached dwellings where it's like a garage or something that they converted.
And the main thing is, if you're building a house, they're going to notice you have a separate dwelling on it, and they're going to tell you have to have an ADU permit. Right. If you have a separate dwelling with a kitchen, and it's not that just... additional dwelling that doesn't have a kitchenette. If it has a kitchen, then it has to have that permit.
Okay, and then a duplex versus an ADU.
Yes. So they are a duplex. You can have the same square footage in both sides. They can have a variety of sizes, and then it has mostly to do with zoning. So what is the zoning for that area? Most single family areas might have different regulations on duplexes, and then they're different structures. So that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. And I think that there's a lot of properties where people want to have a duplex, where they want to have that second unit on their lot or on their acreage or whatever it is. And the zoning doesn't allow for a duplex, but it does allow for an additional dwelling unit.
Yep.
So that's what they end up with. And then they're just working with the constraints of the size, which typically is smaller. So, so let's talk about your additional dwelling unit.
Yes.
So how did that happen? Talk to us about you building an ADU.
Yeah. So I knew when I was building my house that paying the full mortgage every month was going to be a strain on my finances. And so I just wanted to find a way to have someone else pay for it. And I learned that at that time, it would only cost me about $48,000 to add it on to my total build cost. So it was already...
This is 2018?
This was 2018. So it wasn't that long ago. I would say, prices have increased, obviously. That can vary. My additional dwelling unit was only 500 square feet. So it was smaller, but it rents for at least $1,000 a month. I could easily increase that since rental prices have gone up, and then it covers half my mortgage. So it's been fabulous. It only increased my mortgage maybe $100 or $200 a month, but then it pays it off at a way accelerated rate.
Because you were building your house, which... How old were you in 2018?
I'm 29 now. It's so 2022.
So you were 26?
I think I was 24, 25 when I started planning it out.
That's pretty impressive. So you were 25, building your own house and building an ADU. So how did that process work as far as you wrote the offer on the lot.
Yes. So there was a property that I had been watching for probably 6 months. And I just, you know, when you get that feeling, you're just like, I know this is my property. This is where I'm going to live.
Yeah.
And I just knew, even before I even had a real estate agent at that time, because I wasn't one, I just knew this is perfect. And I just got out Excel and I just wrote up all the numbers and I tried to figure it all out. And I just quickly realized, wow, the numbers really work out on this. And so, I quickly got an agent and then we made an offer and then we had a 30-day closing and like a 20-day feasibility, which we had 2 extensions on, where eventually it was a 90-day closing and I think a 60-day feasibility. And it was so long because I had to have all my permits lined up, including that ADU permit, and I had to have all estimates in. So it was just a long process, but it all came together and we were able to close. And then we immediately, we could immediately start construction, because once we could pay the permit fee, we could begin excavating and then begin site development.
So you were building both at the same time?
Yes, I was building both.
Yeah.
Same foundation, same utilities, all of that.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool.
One of my biggest regrets, though, is that I didn't do separate metering for the utilities. So every month I still have to split utilities and then I charge my tenant for it.
So if you're renting it separately, are you prorating, or are you just including the utilities in the rent that you're charging?
No, I just literally charge them for their share every month. So I just split it. I also have a couple of roommates on the other side. So I just split it equally between everyone. And then I charge everyone their share. So
yeah, that's great. And so you're essentially, between all of that, then that's covering all of your mortgage.
More than covers it.
More than covers your mortgage. I mean, if they're listening to this, are they going to be a little bit upset? No, I'm just joking.
No, they know the deal. I told them all straight out. This is how it works.
Well, you're the one who put the down payment on and did it. So that's fantastic. So literally you have roommates and an ADU rented. So you're mortgage free.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which is amazing. And then and there's a lot of people that I've had clients that they'll build an ADU, move into the ADU, or they'll remodel their basement or whatever it is, or their upstairs, turn it into ADU, and they'll rent the main part of the house. So then that's a fast track to have a really low mortgage, low monthly
there
payment.
Are so many uses for ADUs. And this is why I'm so passionate about them, because I think it gives you so much flexibility in your life. I know for me, first was I'm young. I want to pay down my mortgage as fast as possible. But second, I wanted to make sure I could take care of my mom if she needed a place to live. And then I also wanted to be able to travel. So I was hopeful that I could live in the ADU at some point, knowing that I could always switch places in the house and basically have all my major needs met in a variety of flexible ways. The city doesn't care which side, or the county doesn't care which side you live in. So I have some clients right now who really want to live in an ADU, rent the house, and then just travel a lot. That's their dream. So you can use it for a variety of ways. You don't even have to rent it. You can use it just for a family member if they're in need, all kinds of stuff.
Awesome. And, I'm now more excited about ADUs because of your excitement about ADUs. And I did not know until we were doing this, because you've been a realtor with us for
year and a half.
And, you've been a rock star realtor, but I didn't realize that you had built that and completely were having everything covered, which is so cool, so impressive. And that's part of the reason we do this, right? Is so that you can show other people that that's possible. And people talk about, I can't afford to buy a home. It's too expensive. Prices are going up.
Yeah.
This is one of the solutions where, it's, yes, of course, prices have gone up. It might not be $48,000 to do that ADU anymore, but certainly there's the possibility that, with an additional dwelling unit, you could create something. You could, maybe if you they max out at 500,000, maybe if they max out at 700 or 750, they could turn out to have a mortgage payment that's equivalent to a $300,000 house. And I think people really have to do that math.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference on what you're qualified for. Or even if you're qualified up to 300 or 450 or something, if you have an ADU, or if the property you're looking at has an EDU and there is an active lease or an ADU possibility, or you can get an active lease before you close, pre-sign someone, that will hugely change your qualifications for a mortgage. So I mean, it makes a huge difference.